So at this point, I think all three of them are in cahoots together, and they just want to aggravate the rest of us and make us look crazy. Let's get into this week's episode. Hey y'all, it's Tasha. We are back with another video, another review of Married at First Sight, season 12, episode 9. This show is exhausting. This show is exhausting. Oh my goodness. Y'all don't forget to like the video, comment, subscribe, all that good stuff. But let's just jump right into it because I have a lot of notes and I don't want this video to be terribly long, but we got to talk about the mess, okay? So episode opens up. Couples are almost 3 weeks married at this point. We see Haley. She's actually at her house, so not the apartment that they share together, but at her house talking with a couple of her friends. And they show us a clip from the previous night where Jacob asks if she is physically attracted to him. And she says, "I don't know." Now, I'm just like, why didn't you just say, no, you're not physically attracted to him? Or maybe she truly doesn't know, but I'm leaning more towards that she does not find him attractive and she just doesn't want to say it. But I really wish she would have just said it, or at least I wish she would have said it in the way that she stated it to her friends of, maybe I'm not physically attracted to you right now, but I'm open to the attraction and the affection growing as we get to know each other, because it's not all about, you know, looks and everything like that. I wish she just would have explained it better, especially because she talked to his friends last week and they really talked about how honest and straightforward that he is. He does not like to be kept guessing. So I just really wish she would have used the information that she was provided and really implemented that and would have been just a little bit more open with him, because it seems that he requires that, or his mind just goes to a million other places and he then believes those stories that he has made up his head, which we will get to a little bit later on in the episode. So Clara and Ryan, they show them at this little pottery class, which was right up my alley. Like, I love little DIY crafts and things like that. So this would definitely be a date that I would do. So I was like, oh, this looks like fun. I would love to do something like this. But of course, Ryan, being the little perfectionist that he is really studying to make sure this mug is like spot on and is A1 to go up in those crooked cabinets in his house. And then of course this is something that she likes to do. So she enjoys doing crafts. So this is kind of him coming into her side of the world to do something that she enjoys. And then they start talking about, has he thought about where she would put a craft space, once they, I guess, move out of their apartment and things like that. And he was like, maybe the garage. And she kind of got upset. I felt the vibe change a bit. And I'm like, that's not a big deal. To me, it's not a big deal. Like, it does not physically have to be a room inside of the house to make it feel like it's important. Hell, give me the garage. There's more space in there anyway. Then I'm sure maybe it's in a spare bedroom. So I didn't get that. But at this point, we know she's just sexually frustrated. So probably every little thing that he does is going to rub her the wrong way until he gives up the goods. So next we see that Paige meets with Pastor Dwight. So of course, Pastor Dwight is Chris' friend. So the pastor that actually married them on the episode. She said that he reached out to her to check in to see how she was doing, and he wanted to meet up. I don't know how I feel about this, y'all, because I appreciate him checking on her, but I also don't think he's, again, invested enough. It would have been different if her and Chris had dated for a very long time and she had gotten to know his friends and they became like her friends. I think that would be a different scenario with him reaching out, but I don't know if this was more so him wanting to be in the spotlight, production trying to, stir up more drama. I don't know. It just felt a little bit off. But either way, they meet up and they sit and chat about how things are going. Pastor Dwight basically used a Bible verse to say that Chris is unstable. And I was like, ooh, the shade from supposed to be your friend, but okay. But he also shares that when he met Chris for the first time many, many years ago, that Chris was engaged at that time as well. So now we know of at least two engagements that he has had. And then of course, getting married to Paige at first sight. And that Pastor Dwight was like, he wasn't, I guess he kind of saw the choices that he was making in regards to relationships, and he felt that this process was going to be good for him and something that, he would, really do well at, and this would be the perfect opportunity for him to find a spouse. But we all see how, that is turning out. But Paige just continues to get on my nerves because she's still questioning in this conversation about the whole pregnancy. Like, I don't know. I haven't seen a sonogram. I haven't seen a doctor's appointment. Like, it does not matter at this point. He's giving you so many excuses as to why he doesn't want to be with you before this. And then now this seemed to be like the nail in the coffin of why he wanted to split with you. So it does not matter if you don't go to a doctor's appointment, which you wouldn't. It does not matter if you did not see that she scheduled a doctor's appointment. It does not matter if you didn't see her pee on a stick. It does not matter if you did not see a sonogram. He does not want to be with you. Take it for what it is and stop questioning. That just really got on my nerves. It does not matter if they fake the whole pregnancy. He does not want to be with you. Let it go. Okay. So Eric is back home. He was out flying planes and such. We saw earlier in the episode, he took a peek that he was, out of town for work, and he's coming back home, and him and Virginia went out to play, not golf, but I guess just teeing off the balls or whatever. And yeah, this poor child, kidneys and liver, like she can't do anything without having a drink. She has to have a koozie with a beer in it just to go hit some golf balls. Like, Virginia, you have a problem, girlfriend. And it's not just the show portraying you to be this way, because they can't record what you don't show. And I'm going to need you to really evaluate your life, honey. But then they're talking, and she says that she doesn't think that they've spent a lot of time together because, he had left for work and now he was back. And I was like, but is this the same girl that kept talking about needing alone time and wanting alone time, and him, texting and calling so much when she was just out of town, and then now that the roles have reversed and he was gone, she didn't think the communication was enough. I don't know if Eric confused, but I know I am confused, because I'm like, which one is it? Do you want the communication or do you not? Do you want the space and time alone or do you not? Because right now you're confusing me, girlfriend. You are confusing me. And then we see that Haley comes home. So they had their little riff about the physical attraction. She then comes home with some gift bags. And, she's trying to smooth things over with Jacob by bringing him gifts. And it was basically shade, because she comes in with a couple bags of new shirts that she's bought him. We already knew she had an issue with the way he dressed and all his graphic tees and things from the 80s. So now it's like, for you to come in here with all these shirts, it's like, oh, thank you for thinking of me. I appreciate it. So that gift, I don't think it went over that well for him or the viewers, because it would have been different if he may had expressed like, ooh, I need some more, maybe like work shirts, or when I'm in, my Zoom meetings, I wish I had some more button ups, or, some things that just made me look a little more put together. That would be different. And then her kind of hearing that and surprising him with these. But we all know where this is coming from. She doesn't like the way that he dresses, so she's trying to make some adjustments in that area. So I'm like, good gesture, but I don't think this was the appropriate gift and the right time to do it when y'all were already a little bit shaky. Maybe this point you should have just found something from the 80s that would be a good gift and get that, because I think that would have went over a lot better than trying to restyle him. But then we see that they basically start to get into it again, because the night before she went to hang out with Paige, and we see a quick clip from them where it was like 12:30 in the morning and she was still hanging out with Paige, and he says that he was waiting for her to come back home. She said she did not know that he was waiting for her to come back home, and basically a miscommunication with them once again of, she can't assume or predict what he wants if he does not tell her. But also, Haley, you married. Like, you just can't expect to hang out and not say nothing. At least say something if you are going to be out later, or you plan to do something else. Just let your spouse know that. So I see both sides of them, but they both really have to work on the communication of this is what I need from you. And then this is kind of what I'm able to provide at the moment, because this just got blown way out of proportion. Jacob basically ended up going down a complete rabbit hole of kind of figuring out the situation, already assuming and making up of in his mind what the next steps were going to be and what Haley was going to say and what Haley was going to do, without actually giving her the opportunity to say or do any of those things. But he made up the scenario in his head of this is how things were going to go, and that's kind of what he's upset about, which again bothers me, because you can't take the made up scenario in your head as fact, because that did not happen. So Jacob, I'm gonna need you to stop doing that either. Haley, I'm gonna need you to be a little bit more considerate of your husband if y'all want to stay in this marriage. So, but he definitely tells her that he does not think she was ready for marriage, and I think this is pretty much the beginning of the end of the two of them. Like, they can do whatever else they want within, I think it's like 5 weeks left of the experiment, but they're not gonna make it. Virginia, Eric, we see them in the kitchen together. He is cooking, she's making mimosas, or shall I say she's fixing champagne with a splash of orange juice. I mean, this girl, she just drinks around the clock. But we see all the couples get a delivery from the experts, which looks to be a list of questions, or maybe it was just one particular question about love. I couldn't figure out, because they all kind of had slightly different questions. I don't know if it was just all on one card or they gave them different types. But they asked what love means for each of them. And Virginia asked if Eric had been in love since his divorce. And he says no, that he kind of compares other girls to his ex. He didn't go into a lot of detail. And of course, I feel like Virginia automatically took it as being negative. But because he did not go into detail, I couldn't tell if he was doing that comparison in a good way or a bad way. Are you saying, my ex did this and I love that, and these girls don't do this, so they're automatically out? Or they do this better than my ex and this is a quality that I now like? Like, I don't know where he was coming from with that. So Virginia then begins to cry, because they're kind of talking about their differences and how they grew up with marriage. We know that Eric's parents have been married for a very long time, I think almost 40 years, and Virginia did not grow up seeing a stable marriage. So sis is just, she's a little bit, how do I want to say it? She's just confused. I feel like that sums it up. It's confused. But I really couldn't concentrate during this entire conversation with them. I just kept looking at Virginia, and I'm like, why does she keep putting this god awful eyeshadow on her eyes every time? And honey, your skin just looks bad. Like, you're too young for your skin to look that bad. And it's because of all the alcohol. Put the alcohol down and drink some water. Your skin and your kidneys and your liver will thank you for it, honey. They will thank you for it. But I honestly think they will get past decision day, but they won't stay together. So Brenton and Brianna talk about love, and she says that, kind of that she knows she's in love when she does say, she points out flaws in the very beginning of meeting somebody, and then she kind of knows she's in love when she can look past those flaws and really accept the person for who they are, and then she knows she's in love. And then Vince says that he says when he can't stop thinking about that person, then he knows that he's in love. And he says, I think we're going to be saying it pretty soon. And she agrees. And then literally pretty soon meant the next 2 minutes, because then they were telling each other that they loved each other. And I was like, I don't know about that. I mean, do you? But I don't think they're in love. I think they're infatuated with each other. I think they're in strong like, which is always normal, especially in those first few weeks of getting to know each other. But they've only known each other for about 20 days. I don't think they're in love, but let's move on. So Ryan and Claire, they ask each other questions about love, which we know is difficult for Ryan because he's never said it to anyone. Clara says that she feels like she needs to feel heard in relationships, and I am here for everything that Clara is saying in this situation. Although I think she gave Ryan a lot of information in a short amount of time for him to really try to grasp and digest. But I truly agree with what she's saying about she wants to feel heard. So if, she's mentioned something before that she likes and then you just randomly give it to her, that means a lot. If she's mentioned that, I'm feeling stressed, and you schedule maybe a massage for her, that's really important. So I really understood her on that front, because that really does mean a lot. Just not saying that, you know, we're talking and you're getting to know me, but that you actually hear me when I'm saying I'm hungry, I'm stressed, I'm sad, and then you're doing something about it. And not that you're doing something about it because you have to, because you're my husband, but you're doing something about it because you truly do want to do things for me. So I was feeling Clara in this moment, and I'm kind of just like that. But Ryan basically says he just needs more time, which of course we're not shocked at, because it'll probably take him until he's 65 to tell somebody I love you. But Haley and Jacob, they have their quick conversation about love. I don't have many notes on it because it was pretty awkward of them now having to talk about this after they've had these multiple disagreements over the past few days. But they talk about being in love previously, and how that compares to, you know, who the person is that they're in love with, or what the person does. I think they both seem to be damaged to an extent of previous relationships, and I don't think they've completely done the work to heal from those issues, and they continue to just rear their ugly head in their decision making and some of the actions that they do. So that's, you know, I ain't no therapist, but that's what I'm getting the vibe from them. And, you know, kind of get the vibe that from each of them, they just wanted to be married, but maybe the relationship part of marriage was not a priority for them. Just my 2 cents. So then we go to Jacob's house, like his real house with the pool, the sauna, everything else, the beach. And I'm realizing that they also drink a lot too. I know I give Virginia a lot of heat, but Haley and Jacob be throwing it back too. Every time we see them, it may not be liquor, but they drink a whole lot of wine. So I'm gonna need them to check themselves as well. So Jacob actually invites all of the couples over to his house so they can have a little pool party. So we see everybody actually ends up coming over to his place. Only people that don't show up is, of course, Chris. And then Brianna said that Vincent had something to do, so he was not able to come. So the girls end up taking a break from the guys, and they end up talking. So we see that the girls end up, you know, staying outside and chatting. The guys go inside into his exercise room and kind of separate so they can talk a little bit. They do ask Paige, you know, how things are going and how she's feeling. And she's like, I'm okay, I'm doing good. And I'm like, whatever, Paige. And then she tells them that Chris had reached out to her and wanted to talk. And she also told them, of course, about the encounter with the ex-fiance and Chris. And everybody's kind of looking like, girl, why are you still even entertaining this foolishness, as the rest of us are? So she said, when she says that he reached out, she says she's not sure, you know, what she's going to do. And at this point, I'm not understanding why she's even still answering his calls, or why his number isn't completely blocked. Because we know by now that she can still do the show without being in scenes with him. So I'm not understanding why she continues to put herself through this with him. So next we see Ryan and Clara go to a little cute little donut shop, and this just made me want donuts. Oh my God, I felt so greedy. I was like, I want that one, I want that one, I want that one. They look so good. But we know that she loves donuts and she's big on sweets. Ryan is really big on, you know, being healthy, drinking his protein shakes, eating his, you know, protein and vegetables. So he kind of did this as a surprise so that, you know, he's again trying to do stuff that she enjoys, even though if it's not necessarily right up his alley, which I was like, again, brownie points. He just did the pottery thing and now he's doing the whole donut that he can have a good time. Like, all right, Clara girl, give him a little bit of slack. But he asks what motivates her, and she says it depends on the situation. And he says he's very motivated. Like, he knows exactly, you know, what he wants out of life, why he's doing the things that he's doing. When he wakes up every day, he knows exactly, you know, what his purpose is. Like, and they kind of show him just going on. And Clara is just, you know, pushing back the donuts. And then she kind of basically says she feels like she got a TED Talk with some free donuts. And I'm like, kind of. So we also see that with Bree and Vincent that he uses a little chalkboard that Brianna's mom gave them. And he was like, so I wanted her to be a little bit more immersed in my culture. So what I've decided to do is use this chalkboard to give her 4 Spanish words a day. And I was like, oh, that's really cute. So he gives her 4 words so that, you know, she can start to learn his language, his native language. And then we saw that when his mom was over, it seems that her primary language is Spanish, so that, you know, she'll begin to learn how to communicate. But it was so cute because the very last word was bicycle. And then he said he had a surprise for her. And then he went out into the hallway of the apartment. He brought back in a bike for her. It was so cute because they then flashed back to when they was at the reception for their wedding, how she mentioned that she wanted to get a bike. And now he had, thought about that, got her the bike. He has a bike so they can ride bikes together. He said he ordered a little basket for Cookie to sit in the front. I was like, all right, Vince, I see you trying to get back on my good side. I see you trying to get the brownie points. But then you're going to piss me off later on in the episode, so we're going to hold on right there for just a minute. So now we see that Paige has said that God has led her to talk to Chris. And I'm starting to wonder if she has a different God that she talks to than I do, or she has a different phone number. Is God forwarding the messages to another God and she is just getting the wrong messages sent down? Because something ain't it, and she needs to stop bringing him in the middle of this nonsense, okay? So she's sitting there, his ugly face comes, walking up, smiling as if he was not trashed the last time they talked to her. And he sits down and he starts, asking her how she's doing, what she's drinking, and then starts to be the jackass that he is and starts to infer that he knows that she had the conversation with Pastor Dwight. And I'm like, ooh, I'm scared now. Chris, don't nobody care. Don't nobody care. So they definitely show that he was upset that Pastor Dwight had called Paige and he wasn't aware that Pastor Dwight was going to be reaching out to Paige, and he wished that he had known before. And essentially because of that, he won't ever talk to Pastor Dwight again. And I'm like, how childish is this, that you will throw away your friend because your friend had a conversation with your current wife about you? Yeah, and we see that he truly did. Like, he had a whole temper tantrum on, I believe it was Instagram a few days ago, that he went on and on about the situation too. So it's just like, this boy is so childish. I can't even. But he just loves to continue to make a fool of himself. So he then, of course, she's like asking him, kind of why they wanted to talk. He says he doesn't think anything differently than the last time they talked. So again, she's like, well, why am I here if we're still doing the same thing and you have not, had any new revelations? And I'm sitting here like, you shouldn't even be here at all, Paige, to even hear anything that he has to say. But it's very similar to, I feel like, the conversation that he wanted to set up with Mercedes, himself, and Paige the previous week. Of he wants to set up these conversations in hopes that, I guess, his charm, his swag, I don't know what he think he has, but he's hoping that that will get him through the conversation, or drum up feelings or whatever it is, and he won't have to really do the work of having a grown-up conversation. I don't know. But then, of course, from what we saw from the previews, Paige kind of gets up and she's like, I'm not into wasting your time or my time, so I'm just going to leave. And she gets up and then she goes right over to production and has a conversation with him. And then she comes to sit her black ass right back down in the seat. Oh, gosh. So after that, she goes back and forth talking to him about how she's confused. And again, I'm like, Paige, there's nothing to be confused about, honey. He's told you multiple things that should have you taken off in the hills and running away. And you still sit here and act like you don't know what to do. It's what you don't want to do. But you know what you need to do, honey, which is leave. So they start talking and he says that, he's afraid and he's confused, which I truly do think he is afraid of. I don't think he's necessarily afraid of being dad. I think I've mentioned this in the previous video, that he's afraid of somebody coming in and raising his child better than he will because he's trash. So I think he's afraid of that. But he says, he's afraid of, somebody else being in his child's life and it's not him. He's afraid of not making the right decision right now with leaving Paige. And I'm like, here we go with the gaslighting once again. Like, if you wasn't such an asshole, maybe I could believe some of what you're saying, but I only see it as gaslighting 1,000% of what he's doing with Paige. So Paige, of course, says, gets in her little sweet, aggravating voice. And I appreciate your honesty. I really do appreciate you being honest with me. And then he says, that he wants to do a reset and kind of asked what she wanted. And she was like, well, I just kind of wanted us to get have a chance. And I think we just didn't have a chance. And she's willing to have a reset with this jerk. I'm like, are we being punked at this point? Of recent, so you trying to tell me y'all just gonna forget everything that has been said and done thus far and act like y'all are just meeting for the first time? Y'all don't get out of my face with this. If y'all don't get out of my face with this, I am just dumbfounded at this point, and I'm sick of all of them, on camera, off camera, social media. I'm sick of it all. Like, where is her mama? Where is her friends? Where is her brother? Where is her family? Where are the people to talk some sense into her? Because elevator ain't going all the way up. Something ain't right. So Haley and Jacob then grab some lunch. Everything seems awkward. It's very boring. Don't have any notes on that. Brianna and Vincent go salsa dancing. And honey, I'm about to call the girl Beyonce all together, because she was giving body, hair, everything. Bree looked amazing going salsa dancing. I was like, girl, let me go work out. But Vincent is a little stiff. We can see him struggling with the dancing. Brianna is a past dancer, I believe, so she was doing a really good job. But, she just wanted them to try something different together. We can clearly see as they're doing it, and Vincent is not doing really good at it. He's getting aggravated and annoyed with himself. And now he's going to have an attitude because he thinks he's supposed to be great at everything. And when he's not great at everything, he gets to become annoying. So they actually have a really good time. I believe that she was very gentle with him this episode, that she, complimented him on doing a good job. She really, was trying to figure out, did you have a good time? How did you like it? And he was just, again, being very nonchalant, acting like an asshole. Oh, it's fine. It was good. I'm straight. And then he eventually says, he's not okay. And basically it's because he's embarrassed, because salsa dancing is not something that he knows how to do, so he was embarrassed about it. And I'm like, Vincent, you're going to be embarrassed at some point in time. Throughout the years you guys will be together, if you stay married, I'm gonna need you to stop getting upset because you get embarrassed. It's not that big of a deal. And especially when Bree is being very easygoing and not making a big deal out of it, I'm gonna need him to stop that, because it is getting on my nerves. So Eric and Virginia then have a date at his condo, and he cooks dinner for them. And I just get so annoyed. Yeah, I know Virginia gets on my nerves, but I just get so annoyed with almost everything about her. She is always so giggly. Like, what are you laughing about all the time? She always... I'm like, open your eyes and stop laughing every 2 seconds about things that are not even... Like, she does this every episode. It drives me crazy. I know I'm being petty, but it drives me bananas. But she says it stresses her out that I guess she assumes that he wants or needs somebody to love him, like his ex loved him, because they kind of had that conversation. And again, I feel like that's showing her age and her immaturity of he's not expecting you to be like his ex-wife. If things were perfect with the ex-wife, they would still be married. And kind of like he said, everything wasn't there, which was why they had to let it go, and which was why he hadn't been able to find the qualities that he liked in anybody else thus far, even though he says he's now found it in her. But then he plays the guitar for her, and after he plays the guitar for her, I thought that was really cute, by the way, because it showed a different side of him. We always see him very kind of, uptight and put together, and then to see him kind of let himself, down and see a different side of him, that was nice. But then we have another couple that shares the L word this episode. So he says that he loves her, and she says she loves him too. Now, while I was for sure questioning Bree and Vincent of like, y'all pushing it, I definitely don't think these two are in love with each other. These two are completely infatuated with one another. They like the different sides to an extent that each of them brings out of the other one, but it's just that immediate gratification. Like, it's not anything that's long term. It's like, ooh, she, I drink more and I have a good time and she makes me laugh and I miss him and, I got somebody to come home to. But it's like, it's all these little things that really don't equal loving somebody and wanting to be with them. Because even after that, they just, couldn't stop kissing and touching and everything. And I'm just like, it's an infatuation, guys. Learn the difference between being infatuated with somebody, finding somebody sexy, really liking somebody, and then being in love with somebody, because y'all don't love each other. I can see it. I'm sure everybody else can see it. But anyway, that's just my opinion. But that was the end of the episode. And then from the previews for next week, it looks like Dr. Viviana is coming in and talking to all the couples. And speaking of Dr. Viviana, if y'all don't watch The Bald and the Beautiful, which I absolutely love them, so it's Angel, her husband, Miss Kev on Stage, and Kev on Stage, where they talk about the show. But they did an interview with Dr. Viviana. I believe that was last week. I'll reserve my opinions about how I feel Dr. Viviana was in the interview. But if y'all haven't, go check that interview out and let me know what you think in the comments below, how y'all felt that, you know, she answered the questions and, you know, her overall attitude about, you know, the show, Chris, all that good stuff. So if you haven't, check them out. And then, of course, let me know your thoughts below on the episode this week. How are y'all feeling about the couples? Are y'all completely exhausted with Chris and Paige like I am? Like, completely exhausted. When I see that they're going to be on my TV together again next week, I'm just over it. I am over this toxic nonsense that we have to watch week after week. But here we are. We're entertained by it. And hey, it ain't our life that's in jeopardy or what we're messing up. So hey. But again, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe before you guys get out of here. And I'll catch you guys next week for another review. Peace.